Yo. I'm playing a Bazaar. the stream.
Is that any better?
Yeah, sounds fine now.
All right.
You should probably turn on the extra music though.
Yeah,
So I can hear you.
All right. I texted Allie. See if she's up. I was going to talk about Mexico. Trying to get some footage out of Mexico. The problem is I have to be real careful.
Violence has erupted across Mexico following the killing of the country's most wanted drug leader, known as El Mencho, in a military operation on Sunday. You can see smoke billowing into the sky there in this resort town on Mexico's Pacific coast. A witness says fires are ongoing and smell like burning rubber. Officials say suspected members of organized crime groups unleashed the wave of violence after the death of El Mencho. He was a former police officer who was one of the world's most wanted traffickers. He led the powerful Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG.
Why is my window like that?
Leon has more details for us.
Fire, smoke, and chaos across several Mexican states. Cities brought to a standstill as criminal groups retaliate after Mexico's most wanted drug leader died following a military operation Sunday. Blocked highways, drivers forced out of their cars at gunpoint, trucks and buses set on fire. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, a former police officer known to most as El Mencho, was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, wounded during a Mexican military operation and later died while being transported to Mexico City. The U.S. played a role in Sunday's operation, according to U.S. defense officials, though it's unclear to what extent. As fears spread, many Mexicans spoke out calling for an end to the violence.
People are aware of this violence, and what they want is peace, to live in harmony and justice, not in war.
Blockades were reported across various states, and classes were suspended in at least 3 states as officials tried to contain the violence and keep civilians off the streets.
I'm tired of seeing this continue every single day.
Under El Mencho's command, the cartel expanded rapidly, challenging rivals like the Sinaloa cartel for control of territory and trafficking routes. According to U.S. and Mexican officials, El Mencho managed to avoid capture for years. His detention and death is one of the most significant blows to organized crime in recent years, and the first high-profile operation under President Claudia Sheinbaum. The fall of El Mencho may mark a major security milestone, but with tourism, foreign investment, and security for the 2026 World Cup at stake, the world is watching how Mexico handles what comes next. Valeria Leon, CNN, Mexico City.
Well, the violence across Mexico has left some American tourists who've been asked to remain indoors stranded. Travis Dejournette from Los Angeles is stuck in Puerto Vallarta and joins us now. Travis, thank you so much for being with us. We are so sorry that you and, of course, the locals are going through all of this. What is it like where you are right now? Can you just describe the atmosphere and what you've been seeing so far?
Sure, thank you, Ben. At the very moment, it's about 11:10 p.m. It's eerily quiet outside, and I say that listening from my windows, not from the streets, because we have been locked down for the duration of the day. It's been a day filled with anxiety. It started very fast and very loud. There was a bit of an information vacuum for the first few hours. There was a lot of anecdotal and social media reporting, so to speak, filling in some of those gaps for people. But we really were counting on each other to report to each other what you were seeing on the street. We shared a lot of videos, a lot of photo, and it was pretty terrifying. There were some sites that I personally saw just outside my Airbnb unit that I would have never have imagined. It really did look and feel like a war zone. And I think that feeling of anxiety, that feeling of what does happen next or what could happen next is driving what a lot of people are feeling right now. At the very moment, though, the streets, from what I can tell and from what I'm reading on social media, are quite quiet. So I think we're all in a little bit of a holding pattern to see what does or what could happen next.
And to see a shelter-in-place warning in what should be a vibrant, touristy area, what was your first reaction when things started happening so suddenly?
They're even fighting in the tourist areas.
No, like it's in Puerto
I've been
Vallarta.
coming to Puerto Vallarta for years, and it's a city.
And, like,
excuse my ignorance, but
No, I mean it's
I just
a
don't know
tourist
anything about
town.
it.
It's a tourist town.
Generous people.
Okay.
And it's also a place where Canadian tourists, American tourists, and tourists from around the world do see a safe haven, a bit of a paradise. So it is jarring to have that contrast, and especially when you see some of the visuals, some of the sites that actually do look like a war zone in a place that has been celebrated as such a paradise. It has been, of course, very jarring. And again, the speed and the loudness with which it all happened was literally alarming. You didn't really have time to think about like what's happening. You really just want to see what's on the ground, see what's out your window.
Well, these pictures we're seeing while you're speaking are very, very scary, so sorry you're going through that. Are people actually following the shelter-in-place warnings, or have you seen some movement and activity regardless of that alert?
There has been some movement. I've been going out on the balcony of my unit just to see what's going on, mostly during the day. And around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, you did start to see more and more people start to venture out. And I myself, I actually
They're
got in the elevator
snitching.
of my building. There was another pair of tourists in the elevator, and we all were kind of deciding, like, or thinking about, do we want to go out? Do we want to try to see what's open? Especially with lack of food and in some cases lack of drinkable water. People are really starting to wonder and ask, will it be safe for me to go out and explore? When will it be safe for me to maybe go to a store? Will the stores be open? Is it safe for employees to get here? I think those are all questions we're dealing with. Generally, though, I am seeing a great deal of respect for the lockdown and the shelter-in-place measure. And I think that's evidenced by what we're reading on social media right now. People saying the streets sound so quiet, the city sounds so quiet.
These pictures are insane. My goodness. Can you just tell us more about the violence that people are seeing firsthand? Tourists seeing these roadblocks and burned vehicles and a heavy military presence suddenly. It's mad.
Absolutely. I mean, I woke up to what I thought was a building demolition happening next door. And when I looked outside, I hadn't yet seen, there were some cars diagonally parked in some of the major intersections around my unit. And within maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, each of those was lit on fire. And I actually did see I saw and heard and smelled a group of criminals set a car on fire and run. So the city does smell like burnt rubber at the moment. I went up to the roof of my building, and there was a thin layer of ash and some embers around. And you just seen multiple plumes of smoke in the sky, in the horizon throughout the day. And that was one of the other eerie parts, seeing that you could visually spot the spread and the number of violent cases going on at any one time. And you definitely still feel and smell that hanging in the air. So it is quite jarring. The noise, the visuals, the light, the sound, all of it, and especially the suddenness with which it came on this morning, I think it really did alarm a lot of people.
And I guess the big question is, when are you expecting that this situation is going to change? When are you hoping that the situation is going to change? Because this is quite a wild current timeline you're going through.
Absolutely. I hope that it would change tomorrow. I hope that tomorrow we're able to feel
Yeah, I hope
wishful
too.
thinking.
some degree of normalcy in safety in this beautiful, incredible city. That said, I also understand a lot of us are dealing with the in the moment reaction. When is my flight going to be delayed? When am I going to be able to find a meal? When am I going to be able to find a way back to my home? And if I can't find those answers, what are the other answers? What can I do in the meantime? So I think we're all trying to deal with this with a certain degree of patience and understanding things that are beyond the individual's control. But also, we're very hungry for information. We're very interested in any sort of official information that can help us make some.
The Mexican army killed the most powerful cartel leader in the country and one of the United States' most wanted fugitives on Sunday, notching a major victory. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, had ties to organized crime that went back at least 3 decades. He was killed during an attempt to capture him, as his followers attempted to fight off Mexican troops. Cartel gunmen responded with violence across the country, leaving burnt-out cars blocking roads in nearly a dozen Mexican states. It was the highest-profile blow against the cartels since the recapture of former Sinaloa cartel boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman a decade ago. The Trump administration has been threatening tariffs or unilateral military action if Mexico does not show results in the fight against the cartels.
De momento, ahorita va a haber una percepción positiva de distintos sectores de la opinión pública, empresarios, jerarquía católica, los Estados Unidos, hacia el gobierno de Claudia Sheinbaum. Pero no estoy seguro que el grueso de la población que padece los narcobloqueos, el secuestro de autobuses, el pánico que se genera en redes sociales, la quema de tiendas Oxxo, tiendas que están distribuidas por todo el país. Entonces, no estoy seguro que la población convalide, acepte, respalde este intento de detención que tiene como conclusión el asesinato de El Mencho.
Felicito a México porque la administración de Donald Trump se la pasa amenazando a México, que quieren mandar tropas, que quieren atacar a los carteles y dicen que México no está haciendo suficiente y esto le manda un mensaje fuerte a la administración de Donald Trump que sí están luchando y están luchando fuertemente y de una manera eficaz.
But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%, but now I went the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom. This is Dabu 7. You look.
Okay, I'm not going to go with anybody named Dabu 7, all right?
We are going to begin with a developing situation south of the U.S. and Texas border. Violence erupting in parts of western Mexico today. It comes after a Mexican military operation led to the death of a major drug cartel leader. Mexican security forces say they killed Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho. Now, this operation had U.S. support, and that creates concern for safety of Americans who may be in Mexico. The cartel is known for trafficking huge quantities of fentanyl and other drugs, other narcotics to the U.S. Now, soon after this operation, violence broke out. You can see these images. Various parts of Mexico, including shootings, arson attacks as well. We have seen cars and buses lit on fire, blocking essentially major highways and major cities of that country. We have also learned several U.S. airlines canceling flights to and from cities such as Puerto Vallarta. That also includes Fort Worth-based American Airlines and Dallas-based Southwest with those flight cancellations. Again, this is a developing story. Of course, we will keep you posted as we learn more.
Oh my God, dude. It sounds bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, we didn't do anything. Like, the U.S. maybe gave him, we gave him intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure, I mean, the Mexican military is the one that went in there and did what they did. Which is good. I mean, it's how it should be.
Violence has erupted in western Mexico after a powerful drug lord was killed in a military operation by the Mexican government. And as chaos overtakes the region, some tourists are struggling to find a way out. CBS News reporter Karen Hua is in Mexico City. So, Karen, thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about this Mexican operation?
Well, Adriana, good morning to you. We know this all started over the weekend after a Mexican military operation. Officials say they captured Nemesio Ruben Esquero Cervantes. He's widely known as El Mencho, the leader of the biggest and perhaps most notoriously violent cartels in Mexico. The U.S. State Department says they're most known for trafficking the most heroin, meth, and cocaine in the entire country, and it's a group the Trump administration has deemed a foreign terrorist organization. Now, the Mexican military operation originally was just meant to capture El Mencho, but he was hurt and ultimately died while being flown here to Mexico City. After his death, we saw a lot of retaliation, a lot of violence as a result of that from cartel members. Social media videos show plumes of smoke as cars and buildings were set on fire all across Jalisco, from Puerto Vallarta on the beach town to the second largest city, Guadalajara. We also know that authorities are still working to help alleviate 250 or so roadblocks in the area. The Jalisco governor has since called a code red, which ultimately means a state of emergency.
Okay, so Karen, the other thing that sort of made headlines are the number of tourists who have been stranded. A lot of American tourists and also from other countries. What is their status?
Yeah, well, so yesterday we spoke to this couple from Texas. They're traveling to Puerto Vallarta to celebrate a birthday. They were supposed to fly back home to Dallas yesterday, Sunday. They, of course, did not do that. Listen to what they told us about their experience.
They were just like large, dark gray plumes of smoke. Unfortunately, there were no available flights to get us out of PD until Thursday. So we were rebooked on the flight out on Thursday. And then after we were rebooked, then we got the notice that our existing flight was canceled.
So it's unclear when their flight and hundreds of others are going to be back on. Unclear when many of these Americans and tourists are going to be able to go back to their home countries. Vlad, Adriana.
All right, Karen, thank you very much.
So El Mencho has been a top Mexican drug lord for years, and his cartel has a major operation, has really played a major role in the drug flooding in the U.S. Well, I did a story in 2019 when I was based in Chicago about how their drugs get into the hands of American dealers and Americans who are addicted to drugs. Let's play a little bit of that.
On Chicago's West Side, we're out watching the morning rush for drugs.
It's 7:15.
7:15 in the morning. Yeah. And there's people in the alley back there.
Someone behind that boarding bus.
The DA's Brian McKnight showed us what's going on in broad daylight. There's literally a line. Now everyone's coming back out.
See the guy's putting on his right hand, putting his pocket.
Last year in Chicago alone, almost 800 people died from drug overdose.
Why are we? Okay.
What?
Why it's CBS now. I know why they're trying to bring it back to what's going on in Chicago.
In America?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Because CBS is the Barry Weiss and shit. Since it's been picked up.
So they're just not credible anymore?
No, I don't say they're credible. It's just it's heavily handed on, the conservative side now.
Oh, I see.
This was at the airport. Did we already watch this one? I think we already watched this one.
Maybe. I think so.
Fire, smoke, and chaos across several Mexican states.
I don't think so.
Cities brought to a standstill as criminal groups retaliate after Mexico's most wanted drug leader died following a military operation Sunday. Blocked highways, drivers forced out of their cars at gunpoint, trucks and buses set on fire. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, a former police officer known to most as El Mencho, was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, wounded during a Mexican military operation and later died while being transported to Mexico City. The U.S. played a role in Sunday's operation, according to U.S. defense officials, though it's unclear to what extent. As fears spread, many Mexicans spoke out calling for an end to the violence.
People are aware of this violence, and what they want is peace, to live in harmony and justice, not in war.
Blockades were reported across various states, and classes were suspended in at least 3 states as officials tried to contain the violence and keep civilians off the streets.
I'm tired of seeing this continue every single day.
Under El Mencho's command, the cartel expanded rapidly, challenging rivals like the Sinaloa cartel for control of territory and trafficking routes. According to U.S. and Mexican officials, El Mencho managed to avoid capture for years. His detention and death is one of the most significant blows to organized crime in recent years, and the first high-profile operation under President Claudia Sheinbaum. The fall of El Mencho may mark a major security milestone, but with tourism, foreign investment, and security for the 2026 World Cup at stake, the world is watching how Mexico handles what comes next. Valeria Leon, CNN, Mexico City.
What is she saying?
I don't know.
Today, I'm here with America's favorite independent journalist and one of my best friends, Don Lemon. Don, how are you? How is life?
Hi, Jennifer Welch. Life is better when I can see you and hear your voice. It's a little crazy, as you know. We've discussed a little bit, but I'm doing okay. How's that?
That's good. Well, listener, as you know, the Trump regime, prosecution that makes absolutely zero sense while ignoring the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
And they arrested our good friend Don Lemon for doing his job, a journalist, as well as other journalists. Don wasn't the only one. And Kylie put up the headline about his phone. I was told, Don, we couldn't ask you about anything unless it was reported. It says, defiant Don Lemon says the process is the punishment after lawyers reveal the feds took his phone. Do they still have your phone?
They do. They still have my phone. Yeah. And look, there have been reports on it because the reports say that it's difficult to open, the phones or whatever, get access to the phones. And so I don't know because I've never tried to get in somebody else's phone, but there's nothing in there that, good. I want my phone back, but what they'll find is that there's nothing in there that really helps them. So I would love to be able to get my phone back, but I would like for them to do it quick, fast, and in a hurry, because I think in the old days, if they took your phone, I don't think people were as used to having their life being on their phones, but my life is on my phone. My work is on my phone. I did a live shot in the snow this morning from a phone that I borrowed. And so I need my phone in order to not just to be able to call my family and my friends and my loved ones, but to conduct my business. It's my livelihood.
So are your lawyers going to be able to get your phone back?
I think so, but do I want it back after that? You know what I mean? And it's just, it's difficult if you're a high profile person, but especially if you're a journalist, right? there's certain things that you don't want revealed, and I think there's privileged information on my phone, and I have like almost everyone who's of importance in the in the universe in there. From presidents to everybody, to heads of states, and to important actors and actresses and artists and Jen Welch, and I don't want them seeing that. They shouldn't be allowed to see that. It's none of their business. That has nothing to do with what happened in Minnesota.
I can just picture these just gross little MAGAs going all through your phone, and they'll find out the night that you were arrested, I sent you a text that said, "I love you, Dawn."
Uh-oh.
So that's what they're going to have on us.
They're going to come back and get you.
Okay, let's move on to, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of, and I know you do too, I get a lot of like death threats, hate mail. When I just arrived back in play the clip.
This is gross.
What is this?
Cash Patel was with the.
Yeah, he went to go help us win.
Okay.
Yeah, it was his win.
This
Yep.
loser.
He won. He got a gold medal.
Like,
gold medal on.
there's a lot of shit going on in the United States.
Totally.
Why is he at?
And he's just such a
It looks like they put the medal on him, right? They wanted him
Yep,
there.
they did.
They absolutely wanted him there.
On MAGA and this compensatory.
You're hearing double on this?
He feels
Why is
so
that?
insecure about his manliness, about his manhood, that he thinks, well, if I'm
Somebody else
director
is
of
in chat.
FBI,
Allie's in
then that's
chat.
going to make me manly.
Well, she's about to get banned if she says anything
with a
negative
hockey
again.
team, then that's going to make me manly. And these people are just so incredibly broken. What's your take on that? What do you think would happen if Obama's FBI director did that?
Is it still doubling, Allie?
Obama's FBI director was flying
Oh, it is
around,
doubling, Chris.
Vacationing with girlfriends on a company jet.
I wonder why it's
right,
doubling.
which they have access to. They're the head of the FBI. But imagine if that was Christopher Wray doing the same thing. But I also
I don't
think
know. It
that
sounds
when I said
horrible though.
stolen valor, they're birds of a feather, no to cliche.
Was that better?
And people sort of mimic what happens at the top. Donald Trump wants the woman, and you remember he took her Nobel Peace Prize, right? And so now he's putting on the same thing, like, oh, someone is putting on a gold medal on him. First of all, I'm happy for the USA hockey team, but I'm like, why are they hanging out with this loser? And who wants to be associated with anybody in this administration?
Why would it be echoing? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know what? No wonder. No, it's not that. Don't want that. That's my stream.
UPS store in San Diego, over 30 people
Is that
are
doubling?
registered to vote as this is their primary residence. It's all right to have this as a location where you receive a ballot, but you can't have it as your primary residence. And all these people do right here. For instance, this lady right here, Gloria, she's 100 years old and she voted in the 2024 election. In fact, the large majority of these people voted in the 2024 election.
The fuck is it echoing? Am I echoing when I talk?
countries that have like
Is it echoing?
an interest in like showing that they have a adequate justice system. I am feeling a little bit of jealousy. America has not even attempted to course correct here. Like not even a little bit. All right, let's do some good news now. Let's do some good news. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but we're now going to go to the United Kingdom for some good news, which is unexpected.
The fallout from the Epstein files has sent another shockwave through the British establishment. Former ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He's seen here being led away by police from his home in North London. Police previously searched 2 properties linked to Mandelson in Wiltshire and North London earlier in February over suggestions that he passed market-sensitive government information to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take you live to London. Al Jazeera's Charlie Angela is in Westminster. What more can you tell us, Charlie, about the arrest?
Yes, well, everyone here in the UK has probably now seen those pictures of Mandelson being led away from his central London home by police. The property was being staked out by a news outlet who seems got lucky. So it comes after police carried out searches on 2 properties belonging to Mandelson, looking, as you say, for documents relating
Is it echoing now?
to allegations that Mandelson passed on sensitive information that could have moved.
Yeah, this is the exact same hit that former Prince Andrew got. It's not about the pedophilia, obviously. Should be obvious to all who are paying close attention to the story, but it's
Echoing.
but instead,
How about now?
Tax evasion, and I guess the British government is doing that as well.
Market to his close friend Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted paedophile, in 2009. Now, this was when Mandelson.
Yeah, there was another window that was open apparently.
At a time when governments were looking for bailouts, he would have been in discussions with European counterparts as well, and it looks like documents would have been seized during those searches.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I might as well now. Fuck. Looks like the UK is doing more of the Epstein files than the US is.
He has expressed his regret for his close friendship.
People are actually getting arrested in the UK.
Selling state secrets isn't exactly tax evasion. No, the reason why I'm using the Al Capone example is because Al Capone was obviously a criminal, but they busted him for anything they possibly could, which was tax evasion. Mandelson and Andrew are obviously directly affiliated with a very famous file and potentially engaged in pedophilia themselves. With Prince Andrew, we have a lot more information on that, obviously, than we do for Mandelson. But they're getting them not on pedophilia charges, but instead on the state secret charges. Now, of course, the state secret charges in this circumstance are actually pretty aggressive, because if found guilty, Mandelson could receive life in prison. So this is really good. It's hard to look at this and just like try to cast it away. I mean, it's treason, and they should be prosecuted for this. So justice is being served in this regard if they follow through on this. Okay, so I'm in favor of this, and it's fantastic that this is happening. Shout out to the UK. I didn't know you knew ball like that. UK apology form. I thought the country was run by I thought the country liked being used as a sleeve for Jeffrey Epstein.
No, but they're not actually using
that, the Palestine
Epstein as the reason. It's like we're like state secrets and shit like that.
Country, it turns out you have a higher. I mean, it's
basically like espionage,
especially when compared to the United States of America. But you cleared it, so respect.
Completely seismic. Just last year, this man was the US ambassador, the UK ambassador to the US. He was sharing jokes with President Donald Trump.
Yeah, you got him Friday. I was trying to get him, Ozzy.
He has been at the heart of the Labour government for decades and has had a pretty Teflon-resistant career. He has had to resign twice, but both times he has bounced back. He was
if you use your Twitch Prime, you can not have any ads.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the British
hey.
King would never offer lordship to, you know, very famous files, of course. Jimmy Savile, notwithstanding.
Lost his title. So we will wait to hear what police reveal, to see how long he's questioned for as well, how long he will be held. But this is going to be a huge blow for Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who has really had to come back fighting and defend his appointment of Peter Mandelson, which he has now said he didn't know the extent to which Mandelson...
Sorry, Savile was a knight, not a lord, law. Oh my God. I apologize. Okay, British people, calm down. God damn, dude. My bad, bro. Oh, Jesus Christ. The first moment that I give a little bit of recognition to British people, all of a sudden they have to immediately...
Yeah, Prince, he was arrested on giving away like state secrets.
It's a knighthood.
Like it wasn't for like the Epstein files, like he wasn't for like molesting children.
My bad, dude. I didn't realize. Oh, you have mistitled. This carries a fine of 50 quid, 8 rounds of silver, and a decapitation post haste. Off to the gallows with you, my.
But like they're still doing stuff though. At least they're doing stuff. It's like Al Capone wasn't like picked up for killing people. He was picked up for like tax evasion.
Is just going to add fuel to the fire.
What are the likely political ramifications going to be, Charlie? Particularly, as you say, with the pressure right now on Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Well, we do know that they were discussing in Parliament today when new tranches of information relating to the appointment of Mandelson will be released. We understand that the government has been cooperating with the police in their investigations and handed over all relevant documents. But as you know, it has been within his own party. He has garnered support, but outside his party, calls for his resignation. But it's not just.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Mexico stuff. In fact, that's what I was talking about when I tried to fix this. In fact, we can go back to that because that's what we were.
Windsor, excuse me, we're getting used to his new title. Is still under suspicion. We understand that Metropolitan Police today were speaking to his former protection officers who it emerged were asked.
En Jalisco se registraron 6 agresiones, donde lamentablemente perdieron la vida 25 elementos de la Guardia Nacional, un custodio y uno de la Fiscalía General del Estado. A manos de estos cobardes delincuentes perdió la vida una mujer. Se contabilizaron 30 personas de la delincuencia organizada, 30 delincuentes que perdieron la vida también en estos ataques.
So far, 25 people have died. 25 Mexican officials have died, and 30 cartel members have died.
On wheels, and a lifeline for Kazakhstan's most remote community.
Okay, I don't need to talk about Kazakhstan. We're good.
Across vast swathes of Mexico this Sunday, chaos. Convenience stores and petrol stations torched. Trucks dragged across roads and set on fire. Narco roadblocks, they call them here. Plumes of smoke from resort city Puerto Vallarta. Panicked customers running through Guadalajara airport. Flights cancelled. And fear.
Look, now we're scared. We only go out when it's necessary because people don't know whether to go out or what to do.
The reason? Mexico's most powerful drug trafficker was killed by the country's armed forces on Sunday morning. This was his men retaliating. Nemesio Ceguera, alias El Mencho, head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. His organization controls swathes of Mexico. is present in all 50 states of the US, trafficking cocaine and fentanyl. But now it's leaderless. It was a Mexico Special Forces operation with the help of US intelligence. President Trump's demanded more action against the cartels. He got it. They descended on the holiday town of Tapalpa, gravely wounding El Mencho. The army says they airlifted him to hospital, but he died en route, leaving the Mexican government triumphant. But with a question: what comes next? Not the immediate violence, which seemed to be dying at the close of Sunday, but in the weeks and months ahead. We've seen this so many times in Mexico. A leader gets killed or captured, and then a succession battle breaks out that's even bloodier than what came before. And that's an especial worry in the case of El Mencho, because he had such a centralized grip on the cartel and left no direct successor. The Mexican government will now be desperate for its success not to turn into an even bloodier mess. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
So the other day, Crystal and I did a breaking news video discussing how the Supreme Court slapped down.
So let's see how these terrorists.
And naturally,
I don't know. I love those flights hoping going to be cheap.
And you know, it's now been days since that decision.
Because they only have like one flight.
Like totally flipped what he said, and he's now saying, "I'm going to do another 10% tariff on people, but through a different legal direction." And then he upped it the day after that to actually 15%. Now it's going to be a 15% tariff. Suck on that. And like, this is one of the things about Republicans that pisses me off the most. I can't even tell you how many times a court will say something, it'll be definitive, like we'll know what the law is. And then the right just like does the illegal thing again. And then if it gets slapped down again, they'll just do the illegal thing again. Like this just, it's like fucking endless here. And with the tariffs, it was actually super important that they slapped it down, because what the Supreme Court did, knowingly or not, is slow down the inevitable decline of the dollar and the dropping of the dollar as the world reserve currency. Because it gives other countries more time to slowly get off the dollar as opposed to doing it rapidly, because with Trump's trade war and his tariffs, it made it so that, like, you know, they're speed running the end of America as we know it, right? So it was a super important decision, but with Trump coming out and just slapping another 10% tariff and then making it 15%, like, I mean, obviously people around the world are going to go, what the fuck? Maybe we should just, like, dump the dollar ASAP, okay? But...
You know, it's funny, because of that, like, Bitcoin took a shit. So, like, in the past 5 days, we've gone from $68,000, which is crazy for one Bitcoin. And now we're down to, like, we've lost $4,000. I'm sure Cameron would know more about that than me, though.
A great point that a lot of you guys made in the wake of that decision is like, okay, so they're going to refund the corporations, but not us? Like, we're the ones who had to pay the tariffs, but through higher prices. So why wouldn't we be the ones to get a check? Fuck the corporations. They're going to get refunds, but we're not. That's crazy. And so effectively here you have CNN asking Scott Bessent this exact question. Like, all right, so are people going to get reimbursed for this shit? And look at his vile reaction.
Will you refund the roughly $134 billion in revenue taken by these emergency tariffs?
Well, Dana, that's not the big question.
That's a pretty big question, actually.
What the Supreme Court did was a very narrow reading of the President's authority under the IEEPA tariffs. We have other tariff authorities which have been functioning, Section 232 tariffs, Section 301 tariffs. And Dana, when you say it's a big question, that's bad framing, because the Supreme Court didn't even address that. The Supreme Court remanded it down to a lower court, and you know we will follow what they say, but that could be weeks or months when we hear them. So the Supreme Court did not address refunds.
Sure, they didn't address refunds. That is clearly going to be up to you, which is why
No, Dana, it is not up to me. It is up to It is not up to the administration. It is up to the lower court. Let's just be clear on that.
Okay. Well, the Justice Department told a federal appeals court in this very case last year, if tariffs imposed on plaintiffs during these appeals are ultimately held unlawful, then the government will issue refunds to plaintiffs.
Again, I'm not going to get out ahead of the court. We will follow the court's direction, but as I said, that could be weeks or months away. That decision was not rendered on Friday.
Literally anything and everything to not do the right thing and be responsible and pay people back for what was basically stolen from them because of shitty policy. Anything to not do the right thing is what we're witnessing here. Are you ready for this? I love this. In light of the Supreme Court tariff ruling, Governor Pritzker sent President Donald Trump an invoice of $8.6 billion. It says, President Donald J. Trump to the White House, your tariff taxes wreaked havoc on farmers, enraged our allies, and sent grocery prices through the roof. This morning, your hand-picked Supreme Court justices notified you that they are also unconstitutional. On behalf of the people of Illinois, I demand a refund of $1,700 for every family in Illinois. There are some 5.1 million households in my state, bringing the total damages you owe to about $8.6 billion. The Supreme Court has ruled that this is yet one more unconstitutional act by you and your administration. This letter and the attached invoice stand as an official notice that compensation is owed to the people of Illinois, and if you do not comply, we will pursue further action. Sincerely, J.B. Pritzker. This is a badass move, bro. This is a badass move. It's a literal invoice that he sent them. $1,700 for every single family in his state. I fucking love it. I love it. In fact, every Democratic governor should be doing the same thing. Because the number one comment that I saw you guys make after that Supreme Court decision is like, that's great and all, but you're telling me maybe the corporations will get a refund, but we won't get a refund? That is fucking...
And that's true.
Isn't it crazy?
That's true. Like, so, like, the corporations will get the money that they spent, but the U.S. citizens, that because we've been affected by them, because it's a tax, they won't be, like, we're not going to get anything.
That's always how it works. When we talk about like bailouts, like after the Great Recession, the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, the bailout was like, give the companies a bunch of money, give the financial institutions a bunch of money, and hope that it trickles down. Well, this is finally people are standing up and going, fuck trickle down, bitch.
Welcome back.
Directly to us. We're the ones who deserve the bailout. Okay? But then, of course, like we discussed, worth reminding everyone that by imposing a 15% global tariff for no particular reason, Trump has just blown up every trade deal he himself negotiated and signed over the past year. So yet again, with Trump going, I'm going to do a 10% tariff. No, now I'm going to do a 15% tariff. I'm going to do tariffs through this legal avenue or that legal avenue. Now, again, deals he made, totally blowing him up, totally ruining relationships yet again around the world. And it's all because we're basically run by a man-child who refuses to do the right thing, refuses to do any intelligent thing, and is like, he honestly and sincerely is acting like a Manchurian candidate. Whether he is or isn't is irrelevant because he's either so stupid that he acts like one or he actually is one. But either way, the end result is the same. And we're all struggling, and the entire world is getting fucked over, and him and his billionaire pedophile cabal are running out the back door with all the money after looting the treasury. Okay? That's where we're at now. But I love, love, love that Democrats are standing up and fighting back and now demanding restitution for the American people.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well.
The other stuff that's crazy, too, is like what's going on in Arizona. The Nancy Guthrie, whatever her name is.
We are going to turn now to the search for Nancy Guthrie, who disappeared, as you know, from her home on February 1st. The urgent investigation now nearly a month.
No, they have not found her yet.
Aaron Katersky is back from Tucson and is here with us with the latest.
Beginning a fourth week, Robin.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to believe, but they're still at it. And as the fourth week begins, the sheriff says he hopes investigators are closer to identifying the jacket, the shoes, the pants, the gun holster worn by the masked man at her front door. Like the suspect,
yeah, that was by my house.
Says those items may also have been
like I got the Amber Alert for that because it was right by me.
Volunteers headed out this weekend to look for Nancy on their own, and they found a backpack. They handed it over to deputies, but the sheriff's department says it appears to have been there a bit longer than 3 weeks. It contained the ID of an underage person. It is not thought to be a viable lead, and the sheriff's department is also saying, we all want to find Nancy. but this work is best left to professionals. Investigators are open to the possibility the suspect had an accomplice, though there's no new evidence. There is no additional video from her home security system. There is no vehicle of interest, but investigators are still canvassing the neighborhood. They're searching through residential cameras and analyzing DNA recovered from inside the house. Sources tell ABC News Savannah Guthrie and her siblings are aware now that certain leads have not been panning out, and eventually resources may have to scale back, although the sheriff insists the investigation is going to remain active until all leads are exhausted or until Nancy is found.
You have spent a lot of time out there. Can you just give us a sense of the atmosphere there in that area?
The community is praying. There are yellow ribbons up everywhere at the grocery store, everywhere in the neighborhood. The community is with the family, and they will not give up hope. We know the family, if you listen to Savannah's latest Instagram posts, they're not giving up hope.
It's just before 7.
Dude, you see how they caught her? It's crazy.
On Sunday morning, as employees at Camelback Moving are getting some coffee and food to start their day, when this pickup truck pulls into the back of Quick Trip.
The Amber Alert system works.
President of Camelback Moving, Chad Olson, says the security guard at this QT recognized the toddler and the suspect, 23-year-old Marina Noriega, from this Amber Alert, and asked some of his truckers to help figure out which vehicle they were in.
And the thing is that the lady's wearing like pink pants.
The Amber Alert that went out yesterday?
Never? Yesterday? That one.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Should I block the truck?
Huh?
Should I block them?
Should block. As that security guard called 911, the moving trucks moved into place.
We're good Samaritans, do the right thing. I mean, we have core values about community and being proactive.
While multiple Camelback Moving trucks blocked the pickup truck, the employees started looking up the Amber Alert pictures themselves.
Oh my God, that's her. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yep, that's her.
At one point, you can see what appears to be Noriega look out her driver's door towards the employees blocking them in. Minutes later,
look, here comes the puppos right here.
The moving trucks move out of the way as several Phoenix police officers come in to find the toddler.
Damn.
We're a moving company, so we're not professional.
You know you're so screwed.
Means, but listen to the dash cam and watch the dash cam footage of the crew kind of identifying the situation and who this was, and putting the plan together that we're going to block this truck in with our truck and not allow them to leave. I couldn't be more proud.
And thankfully that Tyler was found to be in good health according to police. We did ask Avondale police what charges Noriega will be booked on and if there was any previous relationship between that 23-year-old and that toddler. We are still waiting to hear back from police on those questions. For now, reporting live in Phoenix, Zach Prelutsky for Arizona's Family.
Inside a moving truck near 27th Avenue and Thomas in Phoenix, moved in. An officer
Sounds insane.
is being tonight. Kaylani is back where she belongs, while Noriega is being held on a $250,000 cash bond. Reporting live in the studio, Alexis Dominguez for Arizona's Family.
Up if you have any plans to head to the
No matter where you go throughout the day, there is a camera that's always watching. And while seeing a security camera might not shock you, the average person actually gets recorded between 70 and 300 times a week without even knowing it.
The doorbell video outside of Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home, released by the Pima County Sheriff's Department of the suspected abductor, raising questions. If Guthrie didn't have a subscription for the cloud service, how does this exist?
This is crazy.
To really kind of think about the cameras, and there are many in our lives.
Ken Colburn, a data doctor, says that very question has raised a lot of eyebrows.
It's constantly pushing video to the cloud servers. And then if you pay a subscription, then you can go back and look at that information that was gathered.
So it makes you think, how much of your life is being recorded?
For security reasons, you might have a camera right here in your kitchen. And even a bedroom. So your wishful thinking turns into a privacy nightmare.
When you said, I agree to the terms and conditions of this product, you said it's okay for them to have potentially copies of this information up there.
even walking around outside, a traffic camera spotting me on my walk. And even someone else's car catching me cutting through a parking lot. Oh, but don't worry. While Colburn says if an item is connected to a server, it is most likely documenting, but that doesn't mean everyone is watching.
In order for this video to become available, usually it requires warrants or there's some legal process that's going to occur. So, you know, by and large, it's really not that big of a concern.
We live in a digital world that's just expanding. So if you're still concerned, consider this.
The real threat is not third parties or governments. The real threat is somebody acquiring access to your camera because your security protocols are weak.
Have two-factor authentication so hackers can't get in.
And if you think a camera is watching, cover it. Austin Walker for Arizona's Family.
After the High Court scrapped President Trump's tariffs,
Hey guys, night falls on day 19 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, abducted from her Tucson home. Again, almost 20 days at this point. Now, the story rings with a lot of people across the country, here in Tucson, and even internationally. The Pima County Sheriff's Department telling us they've received over 28,000 calls for tips into their department, which is about 10,000 calls more than what they saw last year at the exact same time. Now, this all being said, the support is unreal. We are seeing people drop off flowers and signs every day at a memorial that just continues to grow. We're also seeing people in this neighborhood tie yellow ribbons to trees and cacti in their front yards and mailboxes in support as well. Now, some new information we can confirm with you tonight. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nando says investigators have not ruled out that that they had an accomplice aided the suspected kidnapper seen in the doorbell video approaching Nancy Guthrie's home the night that she disappeared. The sheriff adding the only item on the abductor that has been positively identified as being from Walmart is that Ozark backpack. We know right now that DNA found on some gloves near Guthrie's home did not match any convicted felons already in the CODIS system, but the Sheriff's Department is now working to tap DNA genealogical databases, the same step really that police took to catch the Phoenix Canal killer and also recently the fatal stabbing of 4 college students in Idaho. Authorities also turning to counterparts south of the border as well for help. CBS News has learned the FBI reached out to the Mexican government and law enforcement in the search for Nancy Guthrie, but experts caution that this does not necessarily mean the 84-year-old was taken across the border. Now, Dennis Franks is a former FBI supervisory special agent, and he weighs in on this case with us.
Quite frankly, from what I've gathered, I think they're still keying on somebody local.
Now, this search continues to spark questions, and in transparency, we have them as well. We know from a source that a polygraph test is currently being used in this investigation. The question that we have, though, for the Sheriff's Department, how and why is this currently being used? The DNA, too, we have questions on. We know it didn't really match positive for Nancy Guthrie, her family, or anybody in that CODIS database. But have they found other people and other persons of interest, and has the DNA resulted in possibly a name? We are continuing to ask those questions, push for answers, and report to you exactly what we know and when we know it. But for now, live in Tucson tonight, Austin Walker for Arizona. Yeah, so this is...
Oh my God. People are freaking out over... Come on. There you go.
A flash snowball fight in Washington Square Park. Have you hit anybody?
For sure.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Awesome.
Do you know these people?
No.
As more people showed up, the game evolved.
I've of course been throwing.
Oh, you have? How are you making out? Do you score points here or no?
I don't know. I feel like we should maybe start playing like a dodgeball. Like,
if someone gets hit and they start laughing, it's a win.
So I say we do. I say we have team 1, team 2, then one person run in the middle, and then have like a little
and like a gauntlet.
Yeah.
And they did.
Number 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
I like how it just keeps passing us in this.
Next. And go!
Juliet Papa, 1010 wins.
A crowd in Washington Square Park is seen throwing snowballs and booing at 2 NYPD officers.
How you a cop and you snitching? You good? You okay? Let's do it.
I don't know what he was thinking he was doing, but all right.
This is the most.
Well, let's check out the TikTok.
This is the most insane thing that I've ever done in my life. A lot has taken place in the world of Hassan Hasanabi Piker. You never said you were going to do a TikTok live stream. I didn't know that I was going to do a TikTok live stream. It was impromptu. Also, why are you freaking out? Who cares? But yeah. Last night I ended the broadcast and I thought, I'll go on my TikTok For You page. And I was browsing my TikTok For You page and I came across a face that I recognize. His name is Dean. He's liberal Spider-Man, if you guys remember. Okay? Liberal Spider-Man. And it's funny because I was like literally as I was scrolling, he was like, "Oh yeah, I just watched the content nuke like that Ethan Klein had made."
You know that kid?
And everybody thought that I hate Hassan, but like Hassan is actually very formative in my in my development, like in my understanding of like being an activist and all this stuff. And literally as I was scrolling, because he was right there, I was like, "Oh, dude, this is hilarious. I'm right here. Like, I'm literally watching, and you guys are talking about me. That's crazy." So this guy, his name is Matt. He was on. This other Matt was on. He's also another one of those liberal Jubilee debaters. And I think Chris is also another guy that people say is like a DNC operative. And then Mason joined afterwards as well. But in any case, it was a great conversation. His name is Parker. Oh, sorry, Parker, not Matt. I don't know why it says Matt. Mason joined as well. As you guys know, this Hasanabi sleeper cell.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone on and off of Ben Shapiro. But I like Steven Crowder. I like Dr. Robert Malone, Pecker. There's a lot of different streamers and media outlets that I think do push a more like, you should be able to choose what you want.
I think this is the actual one.
Are you joking?
Never mind, that was 11 months ago.
Joking!
And we just had a variety of different conversations. I tried to give him like some advice as a content creator, like an older content creator in this industry, urging them to not hyper focus on just debates and what some of the trappings are. Okay, what some of the trappings are in terms of like what some of the issues are. Unk advice, basically. what some of the issues are when you do like predominantly debate content, stuff like that. Talked a little bit about the way that.
Oh, this is a long time ago.
So as you all know, Trump is a bit of a dead-eyed sociopath. And my favorite Trump lie ever told, because remember...
Did I talk to you about this? Remember I talked to you about this?
After his first term that said he lied like 32,000 or 36,000 times. I forget the exact number, but it was like record-breaking and earth-shattering, okay? But my favorite Trump lie ever, which shows you just how ridiculous a man he is that when he first ran in 2016, old reporters for like those, smutty tabloid magazines, they had recordings of Trump where he would call these tabloids and basically suck himself off, but he would pretend to be his own publicist. So he would say, "My name's John Barron, and I'm the publicist of Donald Trump, and let me tell you, all the ladies want him, Madonna wants him, all the hot smoking ladies want him." And it was so ridiculous because the tabloid writers knew it was him pretending to be somebody else, giving compliments to him. And when he was caught doing that and they ran the audio tapes, he was like, "That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about." And so this is how you know this guy's lying level is like record-breaking and earth-shattering. So here, let me play. This is an actual report that came out around 2016, and here's the whole story. Take a look.
Real amazing story of Donald Trump's old spokesman, as the Washington Post headline writes. Maybe that it's been such an open secret for so long, it's hard to believe that anyone is still questioning it. It was back in the 1980s, and when the flashy New York real estate mogul needed to get a bit of news out, the newspaper reports it was common knowledge among New York reporters that Trump just assumed a different name and handled the media calls himself. Like this call from reporter Sue Carswell at People magazine concerning Trump's breakup with girlfriend Marla Maples.
What kind of comment is coming from your agency? From Donald? Well, it's just that he really decided that he wasn't, he didn't want to make the commitment. He didn't want to make a commitment. He really thought it was too soon. He's coming out of a, marriage and he's starting to do tremendously well financially.
I mean, come on. Everybody knows that's him. He's starting to do tremendously well financially. Like, come on, man.
He just thought it was too soon to make any commitment to anybody. So what's going to happen with Rashid being out to leave, or she's going to be allowed to stay? Well, he treats everybody well. And, you don't know him, but No, I have met him. Have you met him? Yeah. He's a good guy, and he's not going to hurt anybody. He treated his wife well, and he will treat Marla well. And, he's somebody that has a lot of options, and frankly, he gets called by everybody. He gets called by everybody in the book in terms of women.
If that John Miller sounds like...
He's got all the Trumpism. He gets called by everybody in the book in terms of women. That is so Trump. Wet from the standpoint of water.
It's because audio forensic expert Tom Owen says, in his opinion, it is.
I can conclude with a fair degree of scientific certainty that it is Donald Trump's voice.
This afternoon, Owens compared the John Miller on that phone call with People magazine to the real Donald Trump interviewed on CNN's Larry King Live in the 1990s. Due to the quality of the old recordings, he couldn't use his biometric analysis that he says would be absolutely certain, but based on...
Bro, it's him. I mean, I don't even need no damn biometric analysis. I got these bad boys right here, and it's fucking him, okay?
Pitch, tone, cadence, and his expertise, John Miller and Donald Trump are one and the same.
Yes, it's my opinion that it is Donald Trump's voice.
Reportedly, Trump even tacitly admitted under oath to using one of his false PR names in a 1990 court testimony when he said, "I believe on occasion I used that name."
Thank you, everybody.
Trump was confronted with the taped phone call and the Washington...
His name is Barron Trump. His kid's name is Barron Trump. Obviously, he likes Barron, and so he said John Barron.
Post story.
Interesting, right? Because where have you heard Barron before? Robber Barron, the billionaire assholes who rigged the economy and stole all the wealth. And that fits perfectly with him because he represents the robber barons. He is a robber baron.
On Friday's Today Show.
No, I don't think it. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time, and it doesn't sound like my voice at all. I have many people that are trying to imitate my voice.
Oh my God!
Imagine that, and this sounds like one of the scams, one of the many scams.
So shameless, so shameless. Okay, but I tell you all of that to tell you this. Yesterday, we get word that somebody calls into C-SPAN, and they say, "This is John Barron," okay? And then they start complaining and bitching and moaning about what's happening right now with the country. So here it is, and I'll tell you afterwards my thoughts on it. Watch, here we go.
John in Virginia, Republican. Let's hear from you.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically. Jack's going to agree with me, right? But this is a terrible decision. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, he's a dope, and you have Chuck Schumer, who can't cook a cheeseburger. Of course these people are happy. But true Americans will not be happy. And you have the woman earlier, I assume she's a woman, she's a Democrat, but she said she's disgraced. She's devastated.
All right,
by
John.
this.
We'll go to Chester, who's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Democratic Party.
I like how they cut him off.
Trump call into C-SPAN to bitch and moan about the fucking Supreme Court? I regret to inform you the answer is no, it's not him. It's not him. So there's two options. Either somebody who's like a very, very good impersonator is, just impersonating Trump's voice. That's possible because the tone or the pitch is like a little too high. But actually what I think is happening here, I think somebody's using some like AI voice modulation technology and speaking in the Trump cadence, and then it comes out kind of sounding like Trump. But you can tell if you listen closely, like it's very clearly in the rhythm and the cadence of Trump, but it's like just a little bit off. So one more time, listen to it.
John in Virginia, Republican. Let's hear from you.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically. Jack's going to agree with me, right? But
it is good in terms of how he says it, like the worst decision you've ever seen in your life, practically.
This is a terrible decision. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, he's a dope, and you have Chuck Schumer, who can't cook a cheeseburger. Of course these people are happy.
Who can't cook a cheeseburger?
Of course these people are happy, but true Americans will not be happy. And you have the woman earlier, I assume she's a woman, she's a Democrat, but she said she's disgraced. She's devastated.
All right,
by
John.
this.
We'll go to Chester, who's in
Yeah, it's just a little off. But it's a shame because I don't want this to like undermine the fact that Trump used to actually do this, call in places as John Barron to suck himself off. So let's read some of the replies here. It was probably not Trump, but the fact that we can't completely rule it out says a lot. I would assume it's an impersonator. He did this once before where he called into some show and pretended to be someone else. That went around back during the 2016 cycle. Is it real? I saw this on Threads and thought it was fake. People laughing. He definitely sounds a lot like Trump. Keith Olbermann says, voice too high, wasn't over-modulating, was coherent, not him, not close. And then he got some memes. John Barron, John Miller, David Dennison. John Miller's another fake name that Trump used to use. That's why they have John Miller in there. I've never heard the David Dennison one. But John Miller is another fake name that he used to use from time to time. Other memes. John Barron, Trump with the Mr. Potato thing on, like the glasses and the nose and the fucking mustache. A billionaire cosplaying as his own spokesperson, days without being national embarrassment, 0. So yeah, I don't think it's him. Like I said, it's either a good impersonator or it's somebody using like a real-time voice modulator to sound like him and like speaking in his rhythm. It's just a little bit off. But guys, the reason why people are like questioning it and showing it and talking about it again is because it's an actual fact that he did this. How humiliating. Could you imagine pretending to be somebody else to give yourself credit? Could you imagine doing that? That is so fucking embarrassing. And he felt like he had to do it. This has always been Trump. I need to suck myself off because nobody else will. Nobody else wants to, right? It's the same mindset leads him to try to force his name onto bridges and roads and airports and onto currency and all this stuff, which now they're actually doing, forcing his name onto the Trump Kennedy Center, which is why all the artists there are like, I'm not fucking performing there anymore. Fuck you and that center. And now he's like, oh, we're shutting it down because we're updating it. That's right. We're updating it. We're doing renovations. Meanwhile, it's like people are like, I don't want to fucking perform there. How many nights can you have Lee Greenwood sing them, I'm proud to be an American? Like, that's all that's going to be able to fucking perform there because everybody else fucking hates the guy, right? So, anyway, kind of hilarious. But I don't think it's him. Go ahead. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. But, again, remember, the reason why we're even having
Come on. So apparently this guy in Congress was having an alleged affair with his female staffer, and she committed suicide.
We have new details tonight into the growing scandal surrounding South Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez.
A previously blocked police report giving us new details about the death of the woman Congressman Gonzalez was allegedly having an affair with. Regina Santos Aviles was a staff member of Tony Gonzalez. She died last fall when she took her own life by setting herself on fire at her home in Uvalde. And new tonight, an official police report about her death is revealing shocking new details.
We have team coverage tonight. Yami Virgin will tell us about some newly released and provocative text messages from Congressman Gonzalez. But we start with the I-Team's Jordan Elder, who's live with what's included in that police report. Jordan.
Well, in a surprise move, the city of Uvalde has released a police report in the death of Regina Santos Aviles. The department told us it planned to follow an attorney general ruling which allowed these records to be sealed. But now they've changed course. New details about the final moments of Regina Santos Aviles, a regional district director for Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who died by suicide in September. Police reports confirming the medical examiner's ruling. Santos Aviles set herself on fire. The first officer on scene spoke with her as she lay burned on the front porch. She told him she'd learned her husband was cheating with her best friend and that she'd poured gasoline on herself and ignited it. Records show she may have called 911, telling dispatchers, quote, "I don't want to die." After she was rushed to the hospital, officers collected video evidence, including footage she sent a friend showing her pouring gasoline on herself. Home security video captured her alone in the backyard before using a torch lighter to ignite the fire. Police interviewed friends who had been with her hours earlier. They said she seemed sad, but not suicidal. She'd left her car and belongings at their home, planning to return later. One friend told investigators rumors of an affair had strained her marriage, but no details were included. Records show Uvalde police asked about the rumors that she may have been pregnant. The medical examiner says there were no findings of that. Congressman Gonzalez is not mentioned in these documents. The big question now is, why release the records? In December, the Attorney General ruled they could remain sealed, writing that the family's privacy outweighed the public's interest. Thursday, Congressman Gonzalez posted on X calling for the report to be released. Friday, police told us they were standing by the Attorney General's decision. We've asked what changed, but haven't gotten a response. An attorney for Regina's husband says they were not notified and did not request this release.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, just imagine that.
The political implications of all of this are still unclear. Gonzalez faces a primary election next week, and several of his opponents are calling on him to resign. In a post this weekend, he again said that this is a coordinated political attack. For the News 4 I-Team, I'm Jordan Elder.
All right, Jordan, thank you for that. Yami Virgin joins us now with a look at late-night text messages exchanged between Congressman Gonzalez and his late staffer, Regina Santos Aviles, in May of 24. The texts were sent to us by her widower, Adrian Aviles.
According to the forensic extraction of the cell phone messages, they belong to Regina Aviles Gonzalez and a contact named TG. According to Adrian Aviles, who is the staffer's widower and his attorney, TG is Tony Gonzalez. The messages were sent between 12:15 and 12:54 a.m. In one message, TG writes, quote, "Then send me a sexy pic." Later, TG asks, quote, "Favorite position?" and replies with something we cannot share on TV. Aviles Santos then replies, quote, "Never," and later writes, "This is too far, Tony." We showed the messages to San Antonio attorney Tim Maloney and asked where the legal line is when a boss allegedly communicates this way with a subordinate.
Bottom line is you don't send text at 4 a.m. to a person who works for you. You don't send text of a suggestive sexual nature. It doesn't really matter whether or not you can put a spin on it. It doesn't really matter whether or not you can explain it away. The bottom line is, sadly, that the texts speak for themselves.
Maloney says in today's workplace, any personal communication from someone in a position of authority will closely be scrutinized. Congressman Tony Gonzalez represents Texas's 23rd congressional district. We reached out to the congressman for comment regarding the messages contained in the forensic report. As of airtime, we have not received a response. At 6 p.m., we will have more of these text messages and also a post on X, which may have pushed the
it's crazy.
to finally releasing the messages. Yami Virgin, News 4 San Antonio.
News 4 will continue pressing for answers and following the latest when it comes to this investigation. You can follow us on social media and get updates on news4sa.com.
Like Mike Johnson was asked about this. There we go.
Why should Tony Gonzalez resign, given these very serious accusations?
There are serious accusations, and it must be taken seriously. And I've told him he's got to address that with his constituents, and he's in the process of doing that. Is my understanding. There's an investigation in the state of Texas on these matters, and has been going for some time. And the Office of Congressional Conduct has also, it's been reported. They've been looking at it. All of that was news to me. But I think, as in every case like this, you have to allow the investigations to play out and all the facts to come out. I've been intellectually consistent about this. Whether you're talking about Republicans or Democrats, you have to let the system play out.
He has not been intellectually consistent with this.
I was against, for example, the expulsion of George Santos a while back because he had been accused of a crime and indicted but not found guilty. If the accusation of something is going to be,
Or he didn't want to lose his majority.
serve in the House, you'll have a lot of people would have to resign or be expelled from Congress. So I think you've got to allow this to play out. I think it is very serious. The allegations are clearly very serious. And Tony.
Burn it all down. Burn it all down.
Does he win re-election? Does he deserve to win re-election?
That's crazy. Let's talk about the dumbest person out there.
Here in California at this UPS store in San Diego, over 30 people are registered to vote.
Look, he's sponsored by Polymarket.
Except he's lying. As Paul Mitchell points out, the address where Nick Shirley is standing is 4142 Kensington Avenue, which also happens to be an apartment complex. Here you see where Nick is standing, and if you go up just a couple of feet, you can clearly see that this is indeed an apartment complex. So no, Nick, people aren't registered to vote at a UPS store. They're registered to vote in an apartment complex. No one ever said this guy had the highest IQ, but you gotta do better than this. Your propaganda sucks. Let's expose Nick Shirley again.
Here in California at this.
But either way, you can still get your voting materials from a frickin' from a PO box. And in some cases, you can even register with a PO box, like for homeless people.
Mayor Mamdani, thanks so much for joining us. The storm is New York City's 9th snowiest since 1869. Earlier today, there were reports of some power outages in some parts of your city. What can you tell us about that? And has anyone been hurt in this storm to your knowledge?
So it's a real pleasure to be on, Jake, and I can just start with the power outages. So we were alerted to the fact about 10,000 New Yorkers lost power, mostly concentrated in the Rockaways, and this time about 8,000 of them have recovered that power. We sent out emergency personnel to inspect the conditions, as well as opened up 3 warming centers to ensure that for any New Yorker who was without power, they had a place to stay warm and to stay safe. Because as you said, this is one of the largest amounts of snowfall the city has ever received. This is the first blizzard since 2016, and citywide we saw about 19 to 20 inches. There were parts of New York City, like eastern Staten Island, we saw 24 inches of snow. Now, thankfully, that snow has come to an end at this time, and now it's a question of response, and I can tell you that we don't have any indications that anyone has lost their life as a result of this blizzard. We have been using every tool we have to try and get homeless New Yorkers inside over the course of this snow, where they can be safe and they can be warm.
The storm's also, of course, having a major impact on air travel. The last flight to depart New York's LaGuardia Airport was a Southwest Airlines flight to Nashville at 8:19 p.m. last night. Do you have a sense of when airlines might feel it will be safe to resume travel?
I can't tell you an exact time. I can just tell you that we're going to be using every tool that we have to make sure that it is safe to travel, whether by air, whether by bus, whether by train, whether by bike, or whether by foot or by car. And frankly, we're very lucky here in New York City that we have the incredible men and women of the DSNY, our Department of Sanitation. I began my day today with them at around 6:30 a.m. seeing their Blade Runner 2.0 system, where they showed me that by 5:30 a.m. this morning, they had hit more than 99% of our city's streets with a first plow attempt. And that continues through the day as they have 2,500 hardworking men and women on every single 12-hour shift. Right now, actually, there will be about more than 2,000 who are returning from a shift, more than 2,000 about to go on another shift.
Your city's urgently hiring emergency snow shovelers to help remove snow and ice from public areas, offering people $30 an hour. House Republicans are criticizing you for requiring workers to bring multiple forms of identification to sign up for that job. They tweeted, quote, "Let's get this straight. In Zohran Mamdani's socialist utopia, it takes 2 forms of ID to shovel snow, but no ID to vote. Make it make sense," unquote. What's your response to that, sir?
Well, here in New York City, we follow the law, and it's federal law to require certain forms of identification in order for someone to actually be paid for this kind of a job. And so that's what we're asking for, 2 forms of identification. It's a long-standing city program. It's a long-standing city policy. And thanks to the hard work of DSNY, they've expanded their capacity for how many New Yorkers they can supervise at a time, now up to 1,800 per shift. And so these hardworking men and women who've signed up over the course of the last few days and last few weeks, they've joined the work that sanitation has been doing, and they're clearing crosswalks, bus stops, fire hydrants, helping our city get back on its feet.
President Trump today briefly brought up the snow shoveling situation in your city. Take a listen.
It's so crazy. The mayor of New York, and he's a very nice person. I met him, but his ideology is not too good. But we're having a massive snowstorm right now, and I've heard that he's asked people to come out and help shovel the snow. Okay, so you get a shovel and you start shoveling, right? What the hell? You're not going to help too much, but you can help.
The president actually praising you in there for being nice while kind of dismissing your snow shoveling plan. Have you talked to him at all about the storm, if you need federal assistance? How often do you talk or text with him?
I will keep those conversations private. However, what I will tell you is that the conversations that I have had in the past with the president, including that at the Oval Office, as he had shared right after, we're always focused on New York City and how we can make sure that we are actually helping New York City. And frankly, this emergency snow shoveler program is one that allows every single sanitation worker to be on the plows, to be on the salt spreaders, to get this city back up and running. It's why they've been able to disperse about 50 million pounds of salt. And then these snow shovelers are the ones who supplement the work, frankly, of the department. And what we've seen is here in New York City, as is the law, property owners have to clear the sidewalk in front of their property. They have to clear the crosswalk that's abutting them. And yet there were about 4,000 violations in the last storm of this. Our interest, frankly, is not in issuing violations, it's in finding compliance. And so this is also work to assist in that.
While I have you, there are a couple of things going on in your city I want to ask you about. Starting this month, New York City is hosting a rental rip-off hearing in each borough to address so-called bad landlords and predatory management companies. What will the city do in response to serious complaints? Obviously, it's not nothing to allow venting and allow people to bring things to the attention of authorities, but what are the authorities going to do with that? Is there going to be legal action? Are there going to be new policies developed? What will it ultimately actually mean?
So it's exactly that, Jake. It's actually to inform a lot of the new policies we're going to be putting together. We want to make sure that those policies are reflections of what so many tenants have had to go through time and time again, whether it be the kind of absurd junk fees they're forced to pay or the kind of conditions that they're forced to consider to be habitable when they know that they are anything but that. I mean, when I was running for this office, I remember standing in front of a building where the landlord had been found guilty of having a beehive that was not actually addressed over the course of many, many months. This is what many tenants are living through. We're going to have one of these in each borough to make sure that when we are putting together our comprehensive housing plan, when we're putting together our accountability mechanisms for bad landlords, that they're actually a reflection of what tenants are having to live through.
We've also seen in recent weeks anti-Israel protests take place in New York City right outside synagogues. One explicitly pro-Hamas, which the U.S. government considers a terrorist group, and it's a group that has killed innocent Americans. In response, the new Speaker of the New York City Council formally introduced a bill to allow the police department to ban protests within a perimeter of up to 100 feet from any houses of worship to protect congregants' rights to peacefully pray and avoid, quote, injury, intimidation, and interference from demonstrations. A hearing on the bill is scheduled for Wednesday. What's your position on the bill?
So, you know, I've said time and time again that this is a city where we can hold many things at the same time. One of them being that this is a city where every single New Yorker, and that includes Jewish New Yorkers, as well as Muslim New Yorkers, Christian New Yorkers, New Yorkers of any faith or no faith at all, can be able to go and worship freely in a house of worship. And it's also a city where New Yorkers should be able to exercise their First Amendment rights. So upon becoming the mayor of our incredible city, I directed my law department and my police department to investigate the legality of this specific proposal as well as other related ones and to come back to me with a review. And what I can tell you is that my police commissioner has shared some concerns about the way in which this legislation was initially written as per its actual operability.
All right, New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, thank you. Good luck with the storm. We appreciate your coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jake. Real pleasure.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Tomorrow, we will be starting a little late because we're going to watch the State of the Union. And the State of the Union is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, so that would be 6 p.m. I think 6 p.m. Pacific. So I will see you guys there. Ozzy, are you still here? You want to get on Discord? All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.